What's going on, everybody? Okay, here, back at it again with another video, and today some more, I want to say Dragon Ball Fighters, but I actually want to stay in this lane of talking about general fighting game advice. So the one I want to talk about today is one you hear in every fighting game, and especially Dragon Ball. And unlike last week's advice, which I know is a meme, don't get hit is a meme, but it's simultaneously pretty good advice if you're willing to sit and think about it a little bit. This week, I wanted to talk about Just Block, and I think that is trash advice. It's really, really bad. And the difference between Don't Get Hit and Just Block is pretty big, despite them both being really short, one sentence, kind of meme style advice. Of course, as usual, if you like the match analysis guides and everything else I've been putting out recently, definitely consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel if you already have not. It does help the channel grow, and I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, Just Block. So, Just Block is bad. It's really bad. It's just as, let's say, demeaning, I guess, as Don't Get Hit, and it's actually bad advice as well. And the main thing about it is, just like Don't Get Hit is actually pretty good general advice, but it's also good specific advice. You just have to think about it a little bit more. Like, why is this person telling me you just don't get hit, right? But Just Block is like, it's telling you that you're like mashing or you're being too disrespectful. Like, saying Just Block is way worse because the way you defend is really contextual. Right? It's extremely contextual. So, like, say I have Broly here going in right now. You're going to say Just Block against Broly. Basically, every button is a 50-50, right? Because he has that fast command grab. You can't just block somebody who's a grappler, you know? It also depends a lot on the type of game you're playing. So, in a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ, actually, Just Block is not the worst advice of all time. There are a lot of characters, and this was a huge thing in Season 2. I think it's kind of less of a thing in Season 3, but there are a bunch of characters like Bardock here, or like SSJ Goku, SSJ Vegeta, who they don't really have good ways of opening you up alone, like when they have no assist and stuff. So you can just sit there. Like, what are you scared of? 6M? Like, you can't get a combo without an assist. Or what, Dragon Rush if you practice, and this is of course assuming offline context, but if you practice against Dragon Rush, you can tech it on reaction. If you're talking about online, whoa. If you're talking about online, then these things are pretty scary. Dragon Rush is basically a command grab, right? But for the most part, these characters don't have scary things to open you up. Characters like Broly, Yamcha, like Majin Buu, these characters, Tinkohan's another one. Like, these characters all have like some extra thing they could hit you with that's scary, so you can't just sit there. But for the most part, like, when you don't know what to do against a character, especially if they have no assists, you can just sit there. It's actually pretty valid advice. But what if we're playing a game like Guilty Gear? So Guilty Gear, Just Block is pretty bad advice. Like, generally, you want to be doing stuff. You don't want to just be sitting there. You want to be using your green block, defaultless defense, barrier block to push them out. You want to try to instant block so you can move. You want to try to delay mash in spots so that they can't reset their pressure. The game works totally differently. You don't want... That's a game where Just Block is generally pretty bad advice. Like, you want to be doing something so you could escape the offense. Generally, you don't want to just sit there. So having somebody sit there and tell you Just Block is basically like they're saying they don't really want to tell you stuff, / they just think you're mashing a lot, and it's not very helpful. In my opinion, it's probably better for you, rather than, especially like if you get that response from somebody, it's probably better for you to just go back and watch the matches on your own instead of asking them. Because if they're gonna give you advice like that, like I don't know, it's really bad. If of course you're on this channel for Dragon Ball stuff, like I said, it is good, and there's a lot of examples of it being good besides the example I used of like certain characters. There's an example that I constantly have to tell myself before, like, tournament. Like, let's take nationals, for example. Like, one of the things I literally told myself is, like, bro, like, you need to not mash some of these spots. A really common example being, let's say I get knocked down, for instance, right? So, you get knocked down, you have a lot of options. You could, like, wake up with neutral tech, reflect. You could wake up with up tech. You could do delay down. And, you know, delay down is so strong that you want to do delay down, wake up, something, especially if you see them doing something weird, like something that doesn't look like a tight setup or something. But that has cost me many a time trying to fight out of these situations and like putting myself in a scramble because it looks like they don't have a setup. Rather than do that, that's a time where I told myself, oh, I should just block this. They don't have a setup anyway, and then I can get out of pressure safely using like guard cancel or waiting for a good spot to like jump, or maybe if I have to spark, something like that. So again, I really think this is pretty bad advice. Like someone who tells you this, they're definitely memeing you / like not really trying to give you actual advice. Even myself, like if we were talking about like, let's say it's like season 2 times, you're playing against my SJ Goku, and you're like, man, SJ Goku is crazy, like you're frame trapping me to death. I'll just be like, bro, you don't have to be scared of this stuff. Like I'm just doing mids. Like you're scared of mids. Like why are you scared of mids? Right? I wouldn't put it as just block myself. And I actually am personally of the type where I like giving advice where you have to think about the phrase, like just like a really short piece of advice that sounds like a meme, but you have to think about what I'm saying. But even that just block is like never ever the one, in my opinion. As usual, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. Let me know how you feel about this. This is actually what people thought I was going to talk about last week, and not don't get hit. A lot of people are like, man, is it going to be just block? I fucking hate when people tell me just block. So that kind of was the motivation for this video. And as usual, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.